not being able to do the mid-month reading. I do have a lot of time constraints coming in for the rest of the year, so I'm going to have to let go of the mid-month reading, and I'll try to do it when I have time, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to be possible with my new schedule. Let's just go into the reading here. First of all, let me just give you a little bit of a summary for this spread, okay? I'm not including the shuffling mainly because it takes up a lot of time. And then I also want to be a little bit more focused when it comes to explaining the cards. So I feel like explaining while I'm shuffling interferes with that process. First off, it seems like there is a major new ending of a cycle and then also a new beginning for you guys. And I feel a lot of it has to do with the way in which you attain information and process information and communicate the information. So needless to say, this year, and especially starting in this month with your solar return, your birthday time, it's all about how we play nice with other people, how we collaborate with other people, how we work with other people, how we can compromise and, be a little bit more thoughtful concerning other people. So it's not about, getting the last word in or proving how smart we are, even though you are incredibly smart and no one will deny that. But it can, be in your best interest to try to, I guess, harmonize your energy with other people. So we don't always have to be, the know-it-all. We don't always have to be the one on center stage. We don't always have to prove to other people how much we know. And so I feel like this new cycle is all about being a little bit more receptive to constructive, criticism, and also learning to work with other people. I'm also feeling as well, the other theme coming into the picture, it's all about letting go of what is no longer working. And it sounds like I say this for at least one sign every month, and it sounds very cliche, right? It's like, yes, let go of things that are no longer working for you. But I feel for you, Aquarius, because you are so incredibly fixed in your ideas, in your ways of doing, in specific outcomes that you're trying to achieve, a lot of the times you can very stubbornly beat your head against a brick wall and hoping the brick wall will give way. So you're hoping just by the sheer perseverance, by the sheer force of your own will, you're hoping to change things that are not be fixed. Okay, some things you just have to work with their energy. So it's like you have to be the one to bend, to cater to that other element. It could be a person, it could be a new work environment, it could be a new job, it could be a boss, it could be a relationship partner. You're going to have to not force yourself or impose yourself upon that other element, but you're going to have to bend your energy and work and compromise with the other element, the other unit, the other person, whatever it is. And I feel as if this solar return signifies to me a major, maturation process, maturing in the way that you communicate. It's about being emotionally available. This month, it's all about, yes, being emotionally available, but taking care of yourself as well, okay? So let me just go into this spread. I've used this spread before last month, and so the first 8 cards are predictive cards. The last 3 cards serves as your spiritual advice, what you need to know for this month, okay? And so let me just talk about these 4 cards first. And the reason why I mention an end of a cycle, because we do have here the Ten of Swords. And the Ten of Swords is all about a situation where we feel like somebody talked about us badly, somebody stabbed us in the back, somebody betrayed us, somebody did not have our highest interests, at heart. It's like being taken advantage by another person, being having your reputation slandered or being talked about in a very negative way, okay? Because it's a suit of sword, I feel like for some of you, this is kind of like karma coming back around, but it can also be knowing what you should and should not do, but not heeding your higher knowledge, your higher wisdom. And so I could say that, in some ways, this is something that is self-imposed, and in other ways, it's something that was done to you, and there wasn't any type of compensation or any type of justice coming out of it. And it's linked up as well with the Princess of Swords. This is the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords usually indicates messages, communication that could be of inflammatory nature. And I feel like if you're wondering, I wonder who sent me that email, or I wonder who spread that rumor, there is going to be some information coming out regarding the culprit. But I feel for many of you, this deals with the way in which you've been communicating in the past. And it deals with I want to say the brusque or the very, curt ways in which you might have communicated with other people, with clients, with customers, with coworkers, with bosses, and how you can change the energy so that you can, have a better, have a better relationship with them. So it's all about having a very, very steep learning curve. And it's almost like looking outside of yourself and figuring out, what did I do in the past that did not yield the result that I was looking for? And I feel like many of you in the past, you were trying really hard to get ahead. You were independent. You wanted to do things on your own. You wanted to, carve your own path, create your own path, manifest your own destiny. And I feel like you saw other people along the way as obstacles to your success. So rather than listening to what they have, because they have, they're coming from a point where they have a lot of experience, you're just like, no, I know what's best for me. So you might have stubbornly not listened to their advice, or you saw people that should have been allies to you as like obstacles to your success. So I feel like there is a major redemption here that can be had for this month. But depending on how you work with this energy, it could be, a wasted opportunity for redemption, or you can redeem yourself and, become a better person. So I feel it can go, both ways for many of you. But the bottom line here is we have to soften our energy when it comes to the way we talk, the way other people perceive us. If you look at this person, and this is a representation of you, this is a person that, they don't have a sheath for their sword. They're swinging their sword around. They don't have a lot of experience because it's a very young page energy. And I feel it's almost like somebody who, states the obvious, or somebody who is incredibly smart, but they don't know how to yield or they don't know how to wield knowledge responsibly. So it's like, showing the world how much you know versus being humble and being candid, okay? And then giving out too much information where the situation warrants, being discreet. So I feel like it's somebody who needs to be a little bit more responsible when they express the information that is given to them, and then asking the right questions, and then communicating in a way that is showing other people that you're not just, a know-it-all, but you're a lot more emotionally in tune as well. So this is a major, I feel, major obstacle for many of you Aquarius people who might be watching, and I feel that it would be in your best interest to soften that energy, to put your sword down, cover it up with the sheath, and operate from a space where you're not constantly on the defensive, that, everyone around you is not an obstacle to your own success or your own growth. Because approaching life in this kind of like defensive stance, it can feel very, very exhausting, right? To constantly have your guard up, to constantly think the worst in other people. I feel like it can be very solar return. Operate from a space where you are a lot more centered, you are a lot more self-aware, and you can, learn to put yourself in other people's shoes, if only to see how other people perceive you, but also to be a lot more empathetic and sympathetic to how your words, how your communication, how the things you say can have an impact on other people, negative or positive. Okay? So let's just leave it at that. We're going to be moving forward. You have a lot of good things actually coming on the heels of this. So the next two cards here, let me just leave this out so that you can see. We have the Three of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. Work. Okay, so this is a work environment that requires a lot of collaboration, a lot of communication, a lot of sharing of even vital information. Okay, so this is a card that basically means we are not alone. We don't live on an island. We don't live in a bubble. Decisions are not made in a vacuum. It requires constant exchange of information, constant awareness of what other people are doing so that we can adjust ourselves accordingly. This is a card about needing other people in order to build something of value together for society, for the organization, for the company. So this is spelling out altogether that we are not living on an island. We need other people in order to achieve the best optimal outcome. I feel for many of you, you're in a position where people are coming to you. And I hear consultant. So you might be a consultant where you are self-employed, or you might be consulting for somebody, or you might be in a role where people really look up to you. They trust what you have to say, so your words and the things that you say carry a lot of weight. It has a lot of influence over other people's choices. So this is like somebody that, has a lot of information. The public is going to them to ask them for information. And I feel as if there are going to be times coming in for this month where you're not really sure. You're not really sure of the answer. You're not really sure of what you need to say. And you're not really sure what people are asking you. So, you know how I mentioned this? This is kind of like, look at how much I know. And this is an energy where we're not sure. So Aquarius, when you're not sure about something, it's really important that you don't do this. Make assumptions or, speculate and then give an answer that is not well researched, or give an answer that doesn't meet the criteria. So giving false information, okay? So be very, very careful about that. It can make you feel really uncomfortable when somebody is asking you something that you feel you should know, but you don't know. So the point here is, don't be so hard on yourself. If you don't know something, ask others for advice, ask others for the technical information. Collaborate with other people, because we're all in this together. No one's going to get ahead if everyone works for themselves. So I feel this is where, it might feel a little bit uncomfortable. You like to have your work processes very streamlined. You like to be independent. You work best on your own. And many of you, you're it's almost like you want to be able to kind of test yourself and see how much you know. So asking other people is like the last resort, not because of pride, not because of all of those things, but it's more because you want to kind of just prove to yourself how much information you can retain. But this is not the month for you to test this out, because I feel like relying on other people is going to do so well for you. And there will be many, many times during a workday where you will not have all the information. You might have snippets of the information and your intuition is telling you, yes, you've got it right. But confirmation is always a safe bet when you're giving information to the public. Okay? So these are overall pretty good cards. Next up, first of all, we have here the Queen of Cups. So this is a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. And we have here the Ace of Pentacles. So let me just say this. Usually the Ace of Pentacles stands for a job, but what I'm feeling is you have a gift here coming in from a water sign. So this is like a big gift, and it's understandable because it is your birthday time. It's your birthday time, so gifts are expected, right? Like big gifts, big ticket items, as well as blessings and, favors and things like that. But I feel like this is a significant gift coming in here from a water sign. Somebody that really, really cares a great deal about you. I feel for some of you, sisters, mothers, for some of you. And then I feel for some of you, significant other, okay, so boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever it is. The cards are not gender specific, so this can be, somebody who is very, even if it's a male, it's somebody who's very emotionally nurturing, somebody who's very caring. They can be a little bit more on the self-indulgent or the indulgent side, where they're giving you, very expensive luxury item. But this is somebody that really cares about you. They want you to have comforts. They want you to feel good. They want to take care of you. So there is some expensive items coming in. On the work front as well, you have this water sign. And I mentioned this is somebody who is a little bit indulgent. So I see them as somebody who loves food. I see them as somebody who has trouble saying no to, food, candy, snacks, taking a longer break, taking a longer lunch, just overall indulging. Not in a bad way, but there is somebody in your work environment here that might affect your work environment, that might affect the work that you do. So if you have this person in your environment, just make sure you take care of yourself first. You take care of the work that you do first before you dilly-dally with this person, because they are a little bit self-indulgent. So they might, tell you, you've got let's say you have 5 reports that you need to get done by the end of the day. And they're like, how about we go get some coffee? How about we take a longer lunch? So I feel it just wouldn't be in your favor to overindulge, okay? So there's an energy here of overindulgence, and there's an energy of someone who is enabling that behavior, or somebody that is expressing these behavior, and so you want to make sure that you don't enable the other person as well. Work environment is very harmonized. So for those of you who are starting a new job with the Ace of Pentacles, you're in an environment that makes you feel really good, that makes you feel really happy, that makes you feel very secure. Some of you might be in the helping profession, like you're giving advice, financial assistance, technical assistance to another person, and you're able to calm their worries, their anxieties, and you're able to help them kind of see the forest for the trees. So they're coming to you a little bit emotionally distraught, and you're giving them something concrete, something valuable to appease their worries, to lighten their load, and to kind of do away with their anxiety. So I feel like many of you are in a very, very good position where you're dealing with the public and you're helping them kind of wash away their worries. Okay, so it's really, really good. And anytime we have somebody who is in a helping profession, I feel like, good karma does come back around. Make sure that you don't, steer them in the wrong direction. So if you're stuck, once again, consult colleagues and make sure that they have, the right information, okay? Especially if you're dealing with this demographic or this group of this population that might require a lot of, that might require the exact information because they're very worried, very concerned, and very distraught. The last piece of the puzzle here, 9 of Cups, this is traditionally self-indulgence, and we have here self-improvement, right? Getting into an exercise regime, taking better care of your health, getting rid of bad habits, smoking, drinking, staying up, really late into the night, not getting enough sleep. And then I feel like something happened. For those of you who, if you have, quit bad habits, smoking, drinking, I feel like you're filling your time with food or drinks or something else. You're doing something in excess, and I feel many of you are experiencing, weight gain, okay? And then I'm also experiencing as well, if you have a very self-indulgent coworker, somebody who brings a lot of food to the work environment, or somebody even at home who takes really good care of you by buying a lot of food, and you're just going to indulge. So I feel many of you are aware of this, and you're vowing to take better care of your health. You're vowing to, forego the immediate pleasure just because you care about long-term ramifications. So this Four of Pentacles here, this is a little bit of a introspection type of a card. It's looking at re-examining our lives and figuring out what we need to be to be emotionally stable and emotionally happy. It's also forcing us to look at, in terms of like emotionally, are we where we want to be right now? Is this a good place, or is this the best place? So I feel there are some dilemmas many of you are facing. First of all, it's playing out in your relationship, because the cup energy deals with relationship with ourselves and other people. It deals with like love and romance and all of that as well. So I feel like you have somebody in your environment that you're thinking heavily about, that you're missing. Or some of you are dating somebody who is, a very stellar person, but are you 100% in love and happy and content? And then for others of you, it's regarding a job. It's great. There's opportunity for growth, but are you 100% happy? Are all of your skills being utilized? Are you capable? Like, will you see yourself there, 4 years down the line, 5 years down the line? So I feel like there are some things here that you're having some major, deep soul searching that you need to do in order to figure out where you fit in and whether or not it's bringing you that emotional satisfaction that you're hoping for. Doesn't seem to me to be anything serious, but I definitely feel it is the beginning of something. I mentioned before too, it's almost like figuring out, what has happened in the past, what we have done, and then trying to move forward into where we need to go to achieve the best optimal outcomes. So you're at a point where you've been through a lot. You've been through, a lot of changes, a lot of like things that you thought would last forever, and they turn out to be, false promises. So when you're at this point and emerging from this Ten of Swords, you're going to be extra cautious, and you're going to be extra paranoid that the rug is going to be, ripped out from under you. And so right now you're at a point where you are definitely not settling for less, because you don't want a repeat of what happened before. You're at a point where you need to have that optimal outcome to really give you that emotional stability. So you're not going to be settling for things that can't give you that 100%. So it's understandable where you're at right now, Aquarius, but I feel that things are going well. New things will take some time to take root, right? So if it's a new job, give it some time before you form your opinion. As a fixed sign, once you form an opinion, it is really difficult for you to change that opinion. So don't form an opinion too fast. You're going to be stuck in that framework, and then you're not going to see it for what it is. So if it's a new relationship, give it some time to take shape. You have someone who's really caring, and that's fine. You have someone who's really loving, very caring. If it's a new job, give it some time to take root. Give it some time to come to fruition, okay? Spiritual advice. We have a space here of overcoming sadness, overcoming grief, overcoming loss, okay? So it's almost like, I feel, reality, things starting to sink in. And also having to forego and take better care of yourself, having to forego luxuries, having to forego, that overindulgent energy coming back in as well. And I also feel having to, make sacrifices. I do see as well things that you like, you realize is not good for you, and so you're going to have to give it up, okay? However, in the process of being able to do all of this, you are going through a major maturation process. This is indicating to me leveling up, coming from a Page of Swords into the King of Swords. This is having a very solid sense of who you are, having a very solid sense of your own intelligence, your own capability, knowing where you stand and knowing who you are. So having that sense of like, I know who I am, and leveling up. I feel like all of these things in the past, no matter how painful it was, no matter how disruptive it might have been, it needed to happen so that you can become your true self, so that you can discover who you are, so that you can continue to upgrade and to become a very strong-minded individual where you guard information with a lot more dignity and responsibility. And what's also coming through in the picture here for many of you, in terms of your spiritual advice, I don't read this as a person because I feel like this is talking about you. This is more about becoming a little bit more emotionally available, becoming a little bit more aware, and becoming like connecting to people in a more emotional way. Not because you're becoming too mushy or dependent on other people, but more so because emotionally connecting to other people, getting people to like you, in the long scheme of things, it might be a strategy to get ahead in a work environment, in relationship, to harmonize the relationship. But I feel for many of you, you're starting to open yourself up because you know mentally you're very strong. So even if you open yourself up and making yourself more vulnerable, it doesn't detract from this persona in any way. If anything, it adds a little bit of depth to this persona. So does that make sense? And I feel many of you, Aquarius, you had trouble doing this because you were closed off. You dealt with a lot of loss, a lot of disappointment, a lot of regret. And I feel like just for sheer survival, you never took the time to process. You never took the time to process all these events that happened in the past that really hurt you, that really damaged you. And so when we don't take the time to process, it's haven't really processed them. You're going to have to find ways to talk about them, to examine them, kind of like how he's looking at the cup, examining his emotions. So I feel that you're kind of asked to filter your experiences through this lens of emotional connectedness rather than just doing it through your head, okay? Processing things in a robotic way versus processing things in an emotionally forgiving way so that you can, not beat yourself up over how things happen anymore, so that you can heal, so you can move on, all right? I hope the reading has been helpful. You've got a lot of love and support coming in, Aquarius. You have some new things that are happening. The cycle from the past is done. It's over for good. And the major theme here is we're not living in a bubble. We need to make connections with other people. Even if it's, just so to smooth out your work environment, even if it's just to, get ahead. But I feel like as an air sign, you need to communicate. As an air sign, you need to have that sense of connectedness with other people. Otherwise, you're going to feel very alone, very defensive, and very disconnected from the human experience. And that's where the sadness and the regrets can come in, okay? Needless to say, I'm just going to say this. You guys are always, always very, very intelligent. So you don't need to prove to anybody how smart you are, how capable you are. So keep reminding yourself of that. It's going to be a great help. It's going to alleviate a huge burden for you. And you guys know what I mean. You don't need to prove to anybody how smart you are. They already know. And just, within like 5-10 minutes of dealing with you, they're going to know that you're really intelligent. So give yourself just give yourself that I don't need to prove how smart I am to anybody. And then work on other things. Work on relationship building. Work on being more emotionally available. Those are the major themes and the major things that you need to focus on for this month, okay? I'm going to leave it at that. I wish you all the best. And Let me just explain about last month. I didn't do readings for the majority of the signs. I would say 8 of the signs, mainly because I moved to a new city and I literally had a week to find a new place, to start a new job, to, do the logistics of setting up house, like paying the bills, setting up gas, electricity, internet, and all of those things. And I was really, really stressed out. And that was why I couldn't even do the video to explain the situation. And I couldn't even do the mid-month reading. So I'm hoping to stay in the current place for, the next year or so. So it shouldn't be too chaotic, but who knows? Lots of things happen, and it was like the 3rd time that I've had to move within like a 3-month period. So physically, I was just exhausted. So thank you so much for continuing to watch my video and for your continued support. Somebody stealing my videos and uploading them on their own channel. The person is Henry Tran, and it is a new channel. And he's uploading my videos along with another reader's videos. If you can please kindly help me flag his videos, I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. The link for his channel is in the description box below. So you have the Aquarius videos always have the most views.